There we are. Hi, everyone. This is Gayle. Excuse me. Welcome to my channel where we're all about the hashtag, the at be Bodacious, which means you are not going to let life get in the way of living. And I don't know who might or might not be here because I have, there's some known issues going on, and that's what YouTube says, known issues. So I've tried several times tonight to get online since about 10:40. It is now 10:54 p.m. on September 11, and I am just now. Oh, my chair is. I forgot to get the stuff to tighten it up. Anyway, I'm going to do a little rant tonight, and we are going to talk about whatever you have on your mind afterwards. Excuse me. I am actually coughing up. The joys of asthma. So anyhow, everybody, welcome to the live stream, which possibly some of you all are going to be seeing this as a video. So give me a like when you get to the point where you like the video, because that really is super-duper helpful. That's all I'm going to say on that. So I just want to vent for a minute. I was online with somebody the other day. Yes, Peter, this is live. It is indeed. Hi. We are finally live. Oh, my messages aren't all going through. Good grief. Okay, there we are. So, okay. Glad you're here, Peter. So I'm just gonna vent and fuss, and then we'll talk about whatever's on your mind. I've got a craft I'm gonna work on if it gets really slow. I don't know how long I'm gonna be on here tonight. It might be a little while. I'm not sure yet, but anyway. What I want to vent about is Hurricane Helene. We've got the 1-year anniversary coming up. And I just yesterday had a disagreement, shall we say. We're going to keep this nice. It's a family channel. And I just had this disagreement with a woman who was just kind of sharing some myths, I'll say. And she has this idea that's just a little bit skewed from reality. So I just want to vent about that for a minute and kind of try to set the record straight on a couple of things. Number one is I am in Tennessee, and here in Tennessee, in my county, we do still have people who are in tents. These are not people who are in tents willingly. They are there because they have to be there. Some of the people have their in tents because their homes are in such bad shape that they are having to abandon their home to live in the tent. So maybe there is ongoing structural issues, or whether there is mold that's just gotten all into their house. There's just lots of issues. And so the woman that I was talking to yesterday, I was talking to her online, and she, number one, tried to tell me that here in Northeast Tennessee, we don't have anybody in tents. Hi, Spider-Man the hero. Good to see you again. Is this a new channel? Or did you change your little avatar there? You have multiple channels. Yep, this is me, Peter Parker. Yep, I got it. So anyway, the woman was trying to tell me that we don't have people in tents here in Tennessee, that anybody who is still in a tent is in North Carolina. That is not the case. No, this is my old one. Okay. All right. Well, it's good to see you. So yeah, I just want to set the record straight that we do have people in tents in North Carolina, in Tennessee. I don't know about North Carolina. So that's one thing. The other thing is just she was saying that people. I told her, I said, we're going back. We're having to ask for water again. And she's like, no, you're not. And I was like, yeah, because we have people who are on wells, and the wells still don't have drinkable water. So they're having to truck it in. And it's a little ridiculous that they were having to truck it in, or they are having to truck it in. The anniversary is coming up 27th of September. So it's been almost a full year. And then she was trying to tell me, well, the people who haven't fixed their wells, they're just lazy. They are just not wanting to have it fixed. They're just waiting on the government. They're just waiting on other people to do this for them. And that is not true. Okay? Adamantly, I will tell you that that is not true. There is no more FEMA funds. FEMA has packed up and gone. The appeals time period for Hurricane Helene, that's over. And they're still having to deal with some of this stuff. Now, keep in mind, too, that everyone here that applied for money from FEMA got turned down. We all got turned down at least once. Then you have to appeal. And some people didn't understand that. They took no as no, and which is not too unreasonable. You get, just messed up with something, and you don't have the resources, you don't have the internet, you don't have the emotional bandwidth. So we had to appeal like twice. And then finally, the third time, we were approved for the magic $750. But some people didn't understand that. So our county has a low literacy rate. And where we were the third poorest county in the state, we are now the poorest county in the state. Where we had an employment rate that put us also at number 3 in the state, we are now at number 1 for the highest unemployment rate. Our child poverty rate, some charts put us at 43% for child poverty. Those are insane numbers. So the idea that somebody can just fix it, I mean, you have to have funds to fix something, And if you don't have a job, you don't have money. If you don't have money or a job, you can't get things fixed. So we do have mission teams coming in, but I'm not going to say that people are relying on that. We appreciate it. We need the help desperately, but people aren't sitting around waiting on that. We're trying to do what we can as we can. So, yeah, and I don't usually just vent like this, but I think it just kind of hit me wrong, because we have some people who are they're struggling for lots of reasons. I can name you a couple who he's got cancer. They're having to do treatments for that. She's got a heart condition. She's having to have help for that. And in the meantime, they're having to rebuild part of their house. Their well doesn't work. They lost the car in the hurricane because it got washed away. And then when they found it, it was up, part of it was up in a tree and part of it's missing. And so they have that problem. And then I think for somebody to say that, they're not trying hard enough, they're lazy, they just want the government to take care of it, I think it just hit me wrong, because it's not true. You can't wait on the government to fix it at this point because those deadlines are past. And everybody knows that. So anyway, I hope that helps getting it straight. Later on in the month, we've got a bunch of Hurricane Helene observances for the anniversary. So, just community resilience, community healing kind of things. I'm going to be live streaming some of that later. But anyway, what can I say? Moving on to happier things. Peter Parker says, for a long time, I couldn't chat from this channel. Well, I'm glad you can now. That gives you options. And options are good. Now, we've also been joined by John Off Grid Garage. So, hi, John. Good to see you again. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And he's put some emojis in. Those are really cute. So, thank you. And yes, please don't forget to give me a thumbs up on the video. So, yeah, you just missed my rant. I've been just fussing about some of the myths that are going around about the hurricane. What can I say? 1 year, and we've still got people in the tents, and we're trying to get them out of the tents. We've had people that have donated campers. The campers weren't in good condition, so we're having to do some work on the campers. We've got people who are having to leave their home because of the mold or continued repairs. Like, I talked to one woman, and she's like, she's in a double wide, right? And so now things are rolling in the floor, like, when you put a ball or a marble in the floor and it goes off rolling, and it goes in both directions depending on where you roll it. So she's like, she really felt like her home is breaking in half. And so the whole idea that they're just lazy just flew all over me. Absolutely flew all over me. So, and for his family. And for his family. I can't give thumbs up, only thumbs down. No! Please don't do that. If you get too many of those, they'll bury the channel. I don't even know. Did notifications get out? Because I have it set, and I'm looking at my other screen, and I had it set to give myself a notification. I didn't get one, so I don't know. Ugh. I can't figure it out all the time. This is insane. And it took me 20 minutes to go live because I was having trouble on the YouTube side. So I actually created a live stream and it would never connect. So I had to recreate it. And then I still couldn't get on for another 20 minutes. So YouTube's having some issues. Hey, we got Grandma Lynn. Hi, Grandma Lynn. How are you? Amber, I'm just hanging in there. One day at a time. That's all you can do. Life is frustrating. But yeah, but that's okay. I do have good news about Pipsy. He had this really big honor. So that's happy news. What happened is a woman is having to give a presentation to her boss and her funders, and her company has donated a bunch of money to help with our recovery. And they've been here since the get-go. They've been absolutely wonderful. But she had to, losing my crochet hook. They've been absolutely wonderful. And she has just absolutely made our day because she was like, she had to give stories. Oh my gosh, what has happened? I just froze on my end. Anyway, um, she she came to me and she's like, she wanted to be able to tell some good, happy stories with the hurricane to kind of balance out the really difficult stories that she was going to be sharing. So she asked if she could use service dog Pipsy since the 30 days after the hurricane, where we were running back and forth trying to get supplies. We put 3,500 miles on the car, and that's a lot. And he was with me, of course, for every single mile, and didn't complain. I mean, it was pretty much amazing. So she wanted to know if she could use that, and of course I told her yes. And she's got pictures and stuff that she's using. I just told her, I'm like, here's a bunch, here's a file, get whatever photos you need and just use those. And she did, and I'm really excited for that. So I'm going to post some of those in the community tab a little later so y'all can see them, because some of them is real cute. And there's like there's one where he's actually handing me a bag that he's carried in and stuff like that. So I do have happy stuff, which is really nice. Really, really nice to have something happy, right? Yeah, because next week I got to go to the doctor. So, yeah, I think so. Let me see. Give me just a second. I'm on the YouTube app, so I have to figure out how to do this. Okay. I think. Okay. You should have it. Try it and see. You should have it. There we go. And Country Living and Adventures is testing. There we go. Okay, so let me back up and see, kind of what I overlooked here with my little rant. So let's just go ahead, if you're good with it, let's just go ahead and pray for his family. Yeah. Why YouTube is being odd tonight. What can I say? It's crazy. Oh, why do I have a thing here? Okay. Good deal. I'm so sorry. There's so much hate in this world, and we got too much to do. We don't need to be hating on each other. And I don't care what your political views are. There is no excuse for that. None whatsoever. Absolutely none. Because you can disagree with somebody, and you don't have to take it to that extreme. And if you're in person disagreeing with somebody, then at the end of the disagreement, just shake hands and walk away. That was completely uncalled for. No one should take anything to that extreme. And I know there's a lot of conspiracy theories, but we're not going to know until it's over. And that's just the way it was, or the way it is. So yeah, I don't know. I can't judge. I mean, I didn't know him. And I don't think anybody can judge good or bad on another person. It's kind of like service dog Tipsy here. He was trained in prison. He was around some really bad people. Or was he? Was he just around people who did bad things? And we don't know what's going on in somebody's life. And I'm not going to judge good or bad. not in that situation. Oh, you were asking for a blue wrench here. Let me see what we can do now that I know how to do it. There you go. You got it. Or at least I think you've got the blue wrench. Try it and see if that happened. Yeah, I agree. I agree, Peter. And we've got enough of that in the world. And that's kind of what, we're here on the anniversary date of 9/11, and we kind of have that whole thing going there too. I mean, there's just too much hate in the world. Let's try to do some good. I know one thing I'm trying to do. I've been crocheting. Did I talk to you all about random acts of crochet kindness? I've been doing some of that because it gives me something to do in the evenings, just to kind of keep my hands busy when my mind's going 50 miles an hour. And so I crocheted a little duck. Quack, quack, quack. And so to put some happiness into the world, there's this thing called random acts of crochet kindness. And you just make things like that. And then you just leave them places. And then whoever finds it can pick it up and they can keep it. Just hopefully make somebody's day. Oh, you like it? I'm glad. I'm glad. And I have some things to send to you, by the way. I did one the other day. I did a turtle. And somebody was sad and upset. And I was like, because it was a little girl. We were at the hospital. She was having to have some test or some blood drawn or something like that. And she was crying. So I'm like, I have a turtle. Would you like to have a turtle? And she was like, so I gave her the turtle. Mommy was very happy because Mommy had a child who was less afraid at that moment and a little happier. So I don't have this one finished yet. But this is what the turtles look like. Some of them may have a different color body or a different color shell. But anyway, just kind of leaving them around everywhere to try to put some happiness into the world, because we need some of that, right? Gotta be happy. Be Bodacious on that, right? That's our channel handle. Be Bodacious. I'm glad you like turtles. I just love this pattern. It's so cute. So, like when I'm traveling and we're going across the country, I'm just like leaving these things here and there. And they've got a little note that goes in the bag. And I've used all the notes. Okay. But anyway, it says that I'm not lost. I'm just alone. If you like me, take me home. And then I think it says, like, if you don't, let me lay, and somebody to brighten somebody else's day. I think that's the whole rhyme there. But anyway, I just thought that was a neat thing. It's really cute. There's also random acts of art kindness. So you may, hopefully you guys will find something really cool that'll brighten up your life, at least for the day, right? So I'm going to be doing, like we were talking about hurricanes earlier. I think what I'm going to be doing to try to get some happiness to the hurricane survivors, it's getting cold. And with us still having people in tents, which is insane to me that we're almost a year out. But anyway, I'm going to try to stop ranting about that, at least for a few minutes. Then I'm going to try to make some hats, maybe some scarves. Just try to make them, something. Okay. Country Living and Adventures, which is Amber, says, me and my cousin used to rescue turtles off the road, LOL. Put them where they couldn't get hit. I think that's a wonderful thing to do. That is a wonderful thing to do. You know, as long as you're careful and you don't get hit trying to do it, right? That's the thing you got to watch out for. But I think that's great. I'm so glad. Hey, Grandma Lynn has us rolling on her cell phone for the full live stream. Yay! I streamed to you all overnight the other night because I couldn't sleep and I decided I wanted to have something in the background. And I think I've said before, you're perfect for that because you're always upbeat, you're always happy. And I like that. So thank you. Plus, I noticed that my watch time has gone down just a little bit. So I don't want that to slip because YouTube will smack my hand and take away the monetization. And yeah, that's not cool. Amber says, even got braved and rescued snapping turtles. We were very careful not to get snapped. Oh my stars. Yeah, those things are mean. We saw one at the side of the road one day or not in the side of the road. He was like halfway in the lane going toward the road. So I stopped and he did too. And I'm like, come on, turtle, move out of the way. And that thing was freaking huge. Oh, I guess if you have to eat turtle because there's nothing else and you're starving to death, languishing, maybe. I don't think I could do it though. I don't know. Maybe if I was absolutely dying, I might. I don't know. But yeah, I don't think so. But this poor turtle, he just stopped, and I'm like, come on, just please go on, because we couldn't. And then we were trying to get a stick or something so he would go on across the road, and he was like turning around. I mean, he was like snapping at us, and this stick was like huge, and all of a sudden it's broken in parts. Finally, this guy came because we couldn't really go around because traffic was coming. And this guy came, he stopped behind us. He's like, y'all okay? And we're like, I'm just pointing. I didn't even say anything. And he's like, okay, y'all get back in your car. He said, I got steel toed work boots on. And he said, I'm just going to take care of this. So he kind of nudged it with his foot, not kicking it, just kind of pushing it a little bit with his foot and kind of giving the nudge. And that turtle turned around, he snapped at him, and the guy just backed up. But by that time, the turtle has like had it with all of us, and he decides to just go ahead and meander right on over. Yeah, because I was kind of getting concerned because we're talking about summer, and he's on the asphalt, he's on the pavement, and I'm like, this is not the time to stop. But he finally went on across, and there was a creek there on the other side of the road, so he was able to go ahead and get on into the water in the creek, and I'm sure get cooled off. But yeah, Amber, have you run into snapping turtles that were not very nice? You said you were careful not to get snapped, but I mean, it's wildlife out there. It'll hurt you. What you think is not going to hurt you, ooh, they'll turn around and they'll get you. So, I had a little disagreement with a guy. This was kind of funny though. This is not a rant. This is just kind of funny. I was having a disagreement with this guy about wolves. He said he thought he heard a wolf, and I'm like, no, we don't have wolves in Tennessee. Like the whole reintroduction thing a few years ago was a fail, and they had to round them up and rehome them and all that stuff. He's like, no, I'm pretty sure. And what it was is he was not sure he heard it, but a friend of his was like, yeah, he'd heard it too, and he was certain that it was a wolf and whatnot. Well, come to find out, It was a Siberian Husky. And when I heard that, I'm just like, yeah, they sing. Because, I used to have Tomlin and he was a Husky mix. He didn't sing very much, but once in a while he would. And Amber is saying, yes, one was very feisty, LOL, tried its best to get at me and my cousin. What did you do? Did you take off running or did you keep trying to? What did you do on that? I wouldn't like that at all. I think I would just run if it was coming after me. Like this one that we were trying to get out of the road, he didn't come after us except to just turn around and snap. He didn't move until the guy with the work boots came along and gave it the nudge. You were successful. Good for you. Took it to the river away from the road. That's awesome. Well, I'm glad you were able to save a life. It may be a turtle, but that life is very important to that turtle. Brave too, because those things, oh my gosh, they mean business. Oh, come on. Oh, there it is. Sorry, I thought my scissors weren't in here. I'm going to sew this turtle together. I thought my scissors weren't in there, but there they are. I found the cutest little scissors, and I ordered them online, and they came, I think I got like, I don't know, 5 pairs, I think, in this little package. But aren't they cute? They're thread snipping scissors, and they've got a little cover, so I'm less likely to cut myself. But we are talking about me here, and so when I first got them, I closed them. You can probably see where I'm going here. I closed them, and I put the lid on, except I missed, and I jabbed my finger. Of course, I had blood because this is just me, and y'all know how that goes with me. They were pretty cool, and they were not expensive. So yeah, I was really happy. I think there was like $3 for like all 5 pairs. So my husband's got one in his desk, and I gave one to each daughter, and I've got this one, and I've got a spare. So when I lose this one, I'll have it. I'll still have one. So, and then I'll probably wind up losing that too, because we are talking about me. My crazy life. But that's okay. Life may be crazy, but I'm still in the game, and that's what counts, right? I almost wasn't at a couple of points, so I'll take it. Yeah. You just never know what life is going to throw at you. And you just got to roll with the punches. Sometimes literally, but that's okay. Not really okay, but you just got to look at it as you can get through it. And I just messed this turtle up. There we go. So yeah. John needs to keep sharp things away from Gayle because she cuts herself. You don't know how right you are. You just don't know how right you are. I actually did quite a bit of damage to my finger one time. I came home from the hospital thinking I could do more than what I could do, and that was a problem. So I was home from the hospital, got home earlier that day. I had an asthma attack, landed in ICU. So I was pretty sick there. Wound up on breathing assistance, and got to finally got better. Got to come home, And, you're not completely well when you leave a hospital. You are just well enough to make it when you get home, because you're discharged and you're well when the insurance company says you're well, whether you really are or not. So I came home doing some dishes, and without thinking, I put my hand in the water and I swished it around, making sure that everything was out. Well, I know not to do that. I know that if you think you're at the very end of it, that you take, a spatula or a tongue or something like that and just go across the bottom of the sink, or you reach in and you pull the plug and you drain it. But anyway, long story, I'd used too much soap, couldn't see the bottom of it and stuff. So anyway, I cut myself on on my finger, and just this little tiny cut, but it was just big enough and just hit the right spot that I severed my tendon. And I don't know, you all, if you can see this line right here, which you probably, I don't know if you can actually see it, but that line right there, that's my scar from where they had to sew it back together. And it was right before Thanksgiving, like literally right before Thanksgiving. I think it was like 3 days, 3 or 4 days. So what happened was I have these weird things happen, and so I came out of the hospital and my hand and arm is in this cast, because they were like, if you move your finger too much, or if I moved my wrist the wrong way, it could snap again and the work that they did be undone. So not only did this happen right before Thanksgiving, but I had 25 people coming to my house for Thanksgiving dinner. We hosted it for the family. And my poor husband was like, okay, I know how to cook the turkey, but you've got to talk me through everything else. I can do the turkey and I can do the dressing, because, turkeys are not that hard to do. You take the turkey, you pat it dry, make sure it's thawed, pat it dry, rub some oil on it, throw some foil on it, and then just throw it in the oven, right? So yeah, that was a strange Thanksgiving. So yeah, Peter, you don't know how right you are. Yeah. Okay. Amber is suggesting, she says, I'm accident prone, and people say I need bubble wrap and a helmet going outside. There you go, girl. There you go. We're friends for a reason. Yeah. Um, and then, of course, Spider Man the hero saying that John needs to keep sharp things away because I cut myself. So, yeah, that was my weird, crazy story about really doing a number on my hand. But there you go. I got the scar to prove it. So I told somebody the other day, I'm like, I am the luckiest unlucky person in the world. So, because, like, okay, when I was in Montana going to Alaska and I had car problems in somewhere in Montana, I don't remember if it was Billings or Great Falls or where I was, but I parked at the Sam's Club that night, and after having left several places that just felt creepy, and then my van wouldn't start. Well, it started, but it wouldn't stop turning over the next morning, and I'm trying to get it to stop, and I pull my keys out of the ignition only to find out that it was still going. And this woman was like screaming at me. She's like, you got to pull the battery. You probably remember that happening to me, but yeah, it was kind of crazy. But she told me, she was like, I'll help you with it. Don't worry. Don't worry. All of my ex husbands were mechanics. My sons are mechanics. I have to help them in their shop. And she's like, I can get you through this. And when she looked at the car, she was like, I got to have another joint for this. And I was just like, okay. So when I called my husband and I was like, you're not going to believe this now. And he was like, what? And I'm like, this is what the woman just said. And she says she can help me. And he's like, okay, so you're going to let somebody you don't know try to work on the van. And I'm like, yep. And he's like, and you're telling me she's high? And I'm like, that's what she said, was she needed another joint to work on my van. So, but she did it, and she did it right, and she got me back on the road. So, yeah, just part of my lucky unluck there. So, that trip to Alaska was a little odd anyway. That's when I got my gas siphoned and the dog slept through it and I slept through it. But, we got through, and I think this one guy, though, he was just being a jerk, and he was like, nobody's leaving until the police get here. And I'm like, we're not even, like, none of us have cell phone service, and the next town is like 50 miles back. And he's like, but I've been stolen from. And this other guy was like, bro, we've all been stolen from. Because they got part of the gas out of everybody's car. I should say vehicle, but only if they were gas. There was a big diesel pusher there, and they didn't bother him at all because he's diesel, I guess. But anyway, and the guy or girl, whoever it was that stole the gas, didn't get all of the gas out of anybody's vehicle. They left some. It's like, who does that? But anyway, Spider-Man says, yeah, you don't want to use 10W40 oil on that turkey. That is true. You better, on a turkey, you better just stick to vegetable oil. Thank you, Spider-Man. That was just crazy. And I had to do like 12 weeks of occupational therapy on my hand. It was insane. Into the Calm is here. Hi, Into the Calm. Welcome. Welcome. And hey, you all, don't forget, thumbs up, because I really need those. So, yeah. So, yeah, I have these weird things that happen, and you just kind of have to go with it. Because, I mean, what are you going to do besides laugh? And I believe that most of the time, the universe, God, the world, whatever you want to call it, I believe in God. I believe that somebody will come along, or that you will find somebody that can help. Maybe not immediately. It may take a little bit. But then sometimes they're right there. And like this woman, I had seen her pull into the parking lot after me. So we're talking, she probably got there like 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning, something like that. And it was around, I don't know, 7 or 8 when I was trying to get back on the road, running late as usual. That's part of my MO too, lateness. I got in trouble for that all the time in school. That and talking. How about you all? Did you all get in trouble for talking? Amber, what about you? Did you get in trouble for talking in school? I had one daughter that got in trouble, but she only got in trouble one time. And when I got called about her, I was like, yeah, that's how you know you have the right kid. And the other one, Stellar Piper, like she would never get in trouble at school for something like that. She just didn't talk that much. And now she comes on here sometimes. Oh, you were a school skipper too? No way. I was the rebel. There. Okay. Yeah, I told you. I think we're friends for a reason. That's crazy. I used to get in trouble for that too. That's crazy. I can't imagine you getting in trouble for that though. And Into the Calm says thumbs up. Thank you. Y'all, this turtle is cute. Ow. We might be. We were made for each other. We just might be. I mean, we put the Cracker Barrel out of Golden Corral out of business. What do you all think about all this Cracker Barrel craziness? No, I missed that. I'll go back up and look for it. Hang on just a second. Let me tie off this turtle. I hope he makes somebody happy. Let me go see this comment about the razors here. No. Wait just a second. I'm messing this guy up. There we go. Fixing it. Oh, shoot. Now I pulled the knot out. Oh, good grief. There we go. There we go. Okay. Whoops. Yay. I got him done. There's the turtle. All completed. What do you think? Do you like the colors, Amber? I think they're cute. I hope you like the colors too. Let's see. Comment about the razor. Was that before or after the bubble wrap? Happy road. Love privacy. Accident prone. Keep sharp things away. Don't use 10W40. School. Made for each other. Colors. She likes the colors. Yay! Loves the colors, actually. Where is your comment about the razor? I'm scrolling. Was it before or after the scissors? Thank you, Grandma Lynn. I appreciate that you still have me rolling. Y'all, Grandma Lynn is like the nicest person. If you're not familiar with her channel, you have got to go check it out. She's always positive. I can't find it. That is a good product. I like it too. That is the thing to use. Absolutely the thing to use. Because it stinks, though. That's the only thing. I wish that they made a version that didn't stink to high heavens. But at least they got it, right? So, yeah, there you go. I use crock pots a lot, too. If I'm not using the mini griddle and I'm cooking and I have to have something, that evening, if it's big, I'll put it in the crock pot. Or not big as in size, but if it's like a bigger meal, like dinner or something like that, they're safer. Although I love my mini griddle. Smell is worth it not cutting myself a lot. That is true. That is true. Unless you have asthma. And with me, I have to watch that. But you have asthma too, don't you? We talked about that before. And I see some numbers popping in and up. Thank you for coming in. Make sure you give me a like and do join us in the chat. So, yeah. I'm going to crochet something. I don't know what. It all starts out the same, though. 5 chains and then make it a loop. That's how I start everything. Maybe I should do a granny square. Except if I do a granny square, then I've got to make a quilt or a baby blanket or something. I think I'll see about making a cross. I did one of these the other day and it actually turned out pretty good. Let's see if this will work. I'm not the quickest crocheter, so don't laugh at me. I'm basically still learning. I used to do some stuff when I was a kid, like when I was a teenager, and then I put it aside for a while. And then I was sitting with this lady. She needed a sitter, and she was crocheting. And then it's like all of a sudden everything just kind of came back that I knew, which wasn't a whole lot. And I went to the store and bought the stuff, and my husband's like, "You don't know anything about crochet." I was like, "Yeah, I do." So we went to the store and I bought stuff for crochet. And then I came back and sat down and I started the Afghan. And by the time I got it finished, he was like, "Oh, okay. I guess you do know a little bit about crochet." But a little bit is as far as it goes. Fortunately for YouTube, right? There's lots and lots of tutorials on just about everything from how to cook a turkey without using WD-40 or 10W40 oil to how to make crochet. So yeah. Yes, I have very, very mild asthma, but not bad enough. I'm glad. Oh yeah, add me. Add me. If you're on Facebook, add me and come back and join the group. That's the best way to keep up with all the goings on in my life. And like I said, we're going to have some Hurricane Helene 1-year observances. So I'm really excited, though. We're doing a candlelight service and I'm in charge of it. So I'm also terrified, but I hope it goes well. I'm going to be live streaming that one. So yeah. So, add me on Facebook and then join the group. Wait, let me give you the thing for the group. Let's see. Whoa, why is it not typing in? Okay, let's try it. What? Oh, I'll have to tell you all, I had the weirdest thing happen. Okay, that should do it. That should be the accurate link for the group. Let me test it here. Yep, there you go. It is, it is. So, yeah. But I had the weirdest thing happen because my mother, the way she spelled my name, kind of gets me in trouble, because if you look at it wrong, then it's Gay, Gay, and then LE will add an apostrophe S on it if I'm typing the word Gales, and you see the problem. Well, now some websites are actually blocking me from using my name. So the latest culprit has been Walmart. I was setting up my Walmart creator store and it wouldn't take my name. And it was like, we're supposed to use our real name? So no. So on the Walmart creator store, I am at Bodacious once again, which is fine, except they recommend that you use your real name, which is totally fine because their system wouldn't let me. Isn't that crazy? But, times we live in and all of that. But, and of course, mom has passed away now, so I can't very well say, look what you did to me. Of course, knowing her, she wouldn't care. Nothing, well, we've talked about how I grew up before, but that's okay. Whole homeless thing there. So, link took you to a blank page. Let me make sure. Let me just make sure I typed it in. Okay, when I clicked it, it took me to the right page. There's a video of a woman holding, I think it's pool noodles. Let me type it in again. I'm just pasting it from up top. There we go. So I ran across this I ran across this statistic site a couple of days ago, and guess what? Tennessee is like the 42nd in happiness in the U.S., which doesn't really surprise me. Like Georgia was like way ahead of us. But the number one state did not surprise me at all. What? You want to come here? You want to come? You can be on YouTube too. Where are you going? Sorry. Pipsy came in and then I don't know what he did. He came in and then he was back out. Service dogs. What you gonna do? Now I forgot what I was saying. Oh. Yeah, the number one state did not surprise me at all. So would you believe that the number one state for happiness is Hawaii? Like, you're in a tropical paradise. How can you not be happy in a tropical paradise? So I told my husband, I'm like, we got to save us up a bunch of money because I got to go test that theory. Of course, my goal is to see every state. Maybe someday, right? I'd like to go see every national park. I think that would be cool, but not every U.S. national park is actually in the U.S. because we've got territories. I can't talk tonight. Territories. I'll get it. Yay. Head injury, folks. So, like, American Samoa has a national park. I think Puerto Rico has a national park. So, I don't know that I'll ever get to those, but I think it would be really cool. Just really, really cool. So, yeah. So, I'm working on a cross and it's not going that well. There we go. That's better. And you, Laurel Stewart, Candy the Wee Service Dog, she's the one that got me back into crochet. So you got to watch out who your friends are. Ah, okay. Amber wants to go to Hawaii and she's curious about China, and which I think would be cool too. And then Spider Man the hero says it's too hot and muggy there. He likes it cold with lots of snow. That's actually why I'm making it. And then somebody hopefully will find it that likes it. Now, sometimes I will put a cross in the blessing box at church because since the hurricane, we've seen more people having to get food just because our jobs are gone. And they have left some of the things that I have crocheted, but they always have taken the crosses. So I did, what was it I did? Was it a bear? I think it was a bear that I did the other day. And it stayed there for a couple of days. But the cross that I put out, it was gone that afternoon. Because we've had a bunch of people that have needed to get food. And the thing is, like the hurricane, there's so many things that people, like, I never thought of. Like with a hurricane or any natural disaster. Like, okay, for example, you know, if you had, okay, we lost our county's major employer, but it's like if you own the food truck that used to go and sell lunches to people when they were on their break, and you lose your major employer, then what happens to the food truck? And then if the food truck can't sell as much and they have to let their employees go, then what happens to them? So things like that, you know, and like if your land was given to your great great grandfather, let's say on a land grant, and the dividing line has always been the middle of the creek. Well, the creek may move a few feet back and forth, but if all of a sudden that creek is like 20 or 30 feet from where it used to be, then where is your property line? Is it going with the new one or the old creek? So it's like, and then what does that do with your homeowner's insurance? And, you know, things like that. And like one of the things that has slowed people down from like rebuilding their homes is because your home may be washed away, like down to nothing, or you may have major repairs, but your mortgage does not go away. You still got to continue paying that mortgage, whether your home is still standing or not. So things like that you don't think about. Thank you. I appreciate that. I don't know where it was bound for or anything like that, but I sure do appreciate that you all did that. Yeah. And like, I don't know if you were here earlier when I was talking, but we're still begging for, or not still, but we've gone back to asking for water because so many people, their wells are bad. And we don't know when or if they're going to recover. Like some wells, you can have something like, what is it, chloroform, and all you do for that is throw some bleach in your well. Well, these are like way beyond that. So, and um, I have not gotten this verified, but I have heard that the water somehow or other sank a couple of wells. I don't know. Amber, you're real smart on things like that. You might know, but something about how the water table is underneath the soil got messed up or something, and now they're having to redig the well. I don't, like I said, I don't know how that works, but I just feel really bad for these people. And then when that person said what they did, that just kind of ticked me off. And I try to be nice. I am not usually one that tells people where they can go and, you know, tell them how they can get there in a bad way. I made an exception for this one. And I almost feel bad about it. So I got to confess my sins on that. So, but it's just people are weird. I got to try to remember that. And you'd think I would because I have weirdos trying to pet my dog all the time. I went into a restaurant the other day and the manager stopped the person I was having lunch with. Like he didn't even go to me. He went we were leaving and paying our bill and he went to this person and I don't know why he went to her. But he was like, "Hey, that's not a service dog." And she's like, "Excuse me?" And he was like, "Yeah, service dogs have ID and that one didn't have any ID." And she was like, "Yes, it did." What had happened was I didn't put Pipsy in his harness. Um, I just asked John and he carried it in for me because it was, it's hard for him to wear that all the time. And I was doing okay with my walking that day. So I was like, let's just, not make him wear the harness, give him a break from it. But we carried it in with us. But the thing is, service dogs aren't required to have ID. And that is because it makes a lot of people mad. But there's this HIPAA law. And making him wear ID is a violation of HIPAA because people may not want other people to know that their dog is a service dog because you're kind of announcing to the whole world something's wrong with you. And you can't be made to share your private medical information. And so, some people don't put it on their dogs, and they don't have to, but oh heavens, this person was all kinds of frustrated. So we actually have another meeting coming up at that restaurant, and I'm just like, because I just don't know what I'm going to get into. You just never know. So I should know from that there are some weird people in the world. So, Amber, I'm doing this in honor of the person we talked about because he meant a lot to you. And hopefully, whoever finds this, hopefully it'll mean something to them. And there's also, there's a Facebook group too where people who find these can post and share the picture and say, this is what I found and where. And that kind of tells us who've made it, like, that it was found and all that stuff. So that's kind of a nice thing. What my scissors? There we go. Oh, I'll go in and I'll have to weave in these little strings. So don't worry, I won't forget to do that. But I'll show you what it looked like. I can't believe I got this done actually in talking so much. My teachers at school would have been so impressed. While they were probably yelling at me to quit talking. I told somebody I learned how to write well because I had to write sentences so much for talking. That and being late to class. Or kind of forgetting to go to class. What can I say? I didn't like school. Some of the kids at school were just too mean to put up with. Okay, whoops, one more thing. I try to fix it so they can be hung up if the person wants to. There we go. All right. So there you go. There it is, Amber. But I got to take these other little pieces of yarn off. And or not off, but I got to weave them in. But does that give you an idea? And I'll put this out because the guy meant a lot to you, and hopefully it'll make you feel better to know that somebody's going to get this, and hopefully it'll make them feel better too. Let's see. The soil in the ground contained the well water because of the chemicals from the floodwaters, and when the wells sank, it would have made it worse. Okay. I don't know how this works with the wells. I just know that we've got people still, it's been a year and they can't use it. Don't have clean water, which is kind of ridiculous for us in the US to have people who don't have clean water. We've got a lot more than you would ever expect. Okay, and Country Living says the wells need relocated and put where the water under the ground is not contaminated. Okay. Yeah, they're looking at trying to get some well drillers in. Um, that's pretty specialized, and we're not getting a lot of people with specializations. I guess that's what how you say. Um, but I am sure thankful for the people that we have coming in that help. And I mean, they've come from lots and lots of places. Like right immediately after the hurricane, within like 2 weeks of the hurricane, I'll say, we had a mission team that came in from the Bahamas. And we think about mission teams going to the Bahamas to help people, but that's just the state we were in. Um, and, one of the things that this person told me that got me upset was like, oh no, it's the people in North Carolina, and they're the ones that are still in the tents, and they're the ones with the water problems, and like them choosing to live in the tent this long and stuff like that. I'm like, no, this is Tennessee that we're talking about. And when she said, "Oh no, you must have it confused because that's North Carolina," I kind of maybe said a little bit too much because I was like, I know where I live, you know. So yeah, but I just couldn't believe that they sent people in from the Bahamas. So, and I felt so bad for them too because they were they were super nice for one thing, and that's not why I felt bad for them. I'm just saying that they were nice. But the problem is they came in October, and in this part of Tennessee, we sometimes get snow really, really early. So the Red Cross shelter closed 2 weeks after the hurricane. They closed without notice on a Saturday night. Y'all probably seen my video on that. And it snowed Tuesday after they closed on Saturday. So the hurricane came in on the 27th, and they were that Tuesday we had snow. And so right after that, we had the mission team come in, and it was cold, and they're not used to cold. And while they were here, a couple of days after that, it snowed. So if I'm remembering correctly, we had snow when they got here, and then we had snow a couple of days after they got here, and they had the heat cranked up in the church. Oh my stars! We went in one evening, and it was like 85 degrees in the church, and we're like, whoa! And one of our people were like, it's so hot in here. Aren't you all about to die from the heat? And then she realized what she had just said to these people who were from the tropics. And she's like, never mind. The things we say without thinking. But I just looked at her and I just chuckled because she was just so surprised. And I actually would have been surprised if it had not been that hot. But yeah, we had to, because we had so many people who were in campers, we had to have a warming shelter. So we did that for like the first time ever that I know of. And we had one person, we didn't have a lot of people that came, but one person who did, he went out in his camper and he walked a mile on snow and ice to get help. There you go, Amber. I tucked the extra strings in. How about that? There you go. Gayle is happy to have a friend help her out. Yes. Absolutely. I'm very fortunate to have the friends that I do, you all. Case in point, you guys. Grandma Lynn says, still here. That is very nice. Thank you on both for both being here and liking the cross. I think I'm going to do a couple because, like I say, they always have been picked up like in the blessing box and stuff. So I'm going to do some more. Because, we need more happiness. Plus, I think too, we're not going to be reminded too many times that God is here and that God loves us. Now, I don't know what everybody's viewpoint is, and I will not argue with you about that, but that's my own personal viewpoint. And certainly, like after the baby came, we really saw God working. So, because she was born at 25 weeks, and everything that God did to put it together so we could go out. I mean, like sometimes even now, I just sit there and cry. Because he started months before she came into the world. God started putting things together. It was like, okay, she's going to come in early, and that's just the way it is. So I'm going to put all of this stuff together. And like, I had my appointment for my doctor set 3 months. She sees us every quarter. That appointment was set 3 months before the baby came. And I was in the doctor's office when I got the phone call. Where I live, we're 3 hours from an airport. Where I was when we got that phone call was about 40 minutes at most from the airport. So there was that. I was able to go in and get my meds from Walgreens because I didn't have anything. And when I went in, I was starting to cry. I asked for the medicines, and you know how it is. They're like, okay, date of birth, name. And I told her, and I'm like, I'm so sorry, I'm going to cry because this is what's going on. And she just looked at me and she's like, let me take this burden off of you. We will do whatever we can. You will get your medications. And so they usually give a 3-day supply, I found out. And the pharmacist came and she's like, I don't feel comfortable giving you a 3-day supply. I'm giving you a whole week's worth. Then my husband came in at this point and he's like, good news, bad news. You got 40 minutes to get on the plane. We went screeching into Walmart. I can never find anything at Walmart. But this particular day, it was like everything I needed, I could just put my hands on really quick. And then I went screeching through the infants department to try to find something in a preemie size so that in case the worst had happened, she would have an outfit. So lots of things happened at the airport and stuff that was just purely God. Okay. My husband got to wheel me to the gate, and they were able to get him through the TSA checkpoint. Now, who but God is going to move the TSA to allow somebody random to just take their wife to the gate? But they did it. Then I got on the plane and lots of other things happened. Changed planes in Atlanta. My seatmate, anybody, they could have put me in any seat on the plane. I would not have cared as long as I had a seat. That is all I worried about. But out of all the people on the plane, and it was full, the woman sitting next to me was a nurse who had done her training at the hospital where my granddaughter was. And she was able to tell me exactly how to get to the room, what entrance I needed at the hospital, just to tell security I had stuff for my daughter, and they would just wave me on up and stuff. I wouldn't have to show ID and whatnot. And then she's telling me that she had made those tickets 3 months ahead of time because her mother didn't like going places by herself. So her mother talked her into flying from California into the airport in New Mexico. And she had her car in the parking lot. And she had bought her tickets 3 months before. So God was already putting all this stuff together and put us together on the airplane. And you cannot convince me that that was anything but God. Like, you can't. Absolutely can't. And then some other things happened too. But anyway, I did videos and stuff on it. Y'all can check those out. But things just, the way he works sometimes. And yeah, you can say that she shouldn't have been born preemie. And I get that. I would like God and I had some conversations over that. But I think sometimes nature just happens, and that God puts things into place to help you with that. And I mean, there were so many things. And like you all, somebody put a note in the Wailing Wall on behalf of her. And she's doing great now. Absolutely. I mean, God's just keeps doing amazing things, but he started putting all of this together months before this happened. And if I got the last flight out of Knoxville that would get me to Albuquerque, I lived 3 hours from an airport. And they tell you to be there way ahead of time. If I'd been home, I could not have gotten a flight out. It would have been the next day at the earliest, absolute earliest. When she lost the first baby that was stillborn, when we were calling to get flights, I couldn't get a flight out until the next day then either. And then with being taken the 3 hours to go to the airport, we were going to have to go to Durham, North Carolina to hit the Raleigh-Durham airport. By the time we did that, and we got there 2 hours early before the flight took off, with the length of time for the flight and a layover that we were going to have, we were able to drive it and just get there within literally about 5 or 6 hours later than what we would have gotten there. But then we didn't have to fool with a rental car and all that stuff, which also would have taken up time. And this way we had our own car. So, I mean, it was a really big deal that I was there in Knoxville instead of being up here. But anyway, Amber says this world needs more kindness. Absolutely. I didn't realize that you were a preemie. I was born almost a month early. I was born October the 8th, and I was actually supposed to have been born on Halloween Day. Oh, wow. And certainly you're doing great. So, my grandbaby's doing great. She she had she's so far ahead, like, emotionally, from where she should be. She's 3.5, and she will sometimes pick up the phone, her mother's phone, and take it to her and say something like, "Okay, we can call Nona now." Stuff like that. Just tickles me to death. But she had some balance issues and didn't like doing the physical therapy because she would rather play because she was a baby. Um, and she had just been toddling around not long, and they noticed the balance thing. So um, she didn't want to play much. So my daughter, I mean, she didn't want to work much. She wanted to play. So my daughter, being my daughter, thinking outside the box, got a pony, a little pony for my grandbaby. And I was like, what on earth? But when you ride a horse, you have to balance. And so you're balancing with your knees and so forth. And you have to be able to sit in the saddle. So my daughter would get on one side, my son in law on the other, and they would make sure that she wasn't going to fall off or get hurt or anything like that. She wanted to be on the horse, like all the time. She wanted to be on the horse. So they took a break from physical therapy so she could do the horse thing. And then she went back to physical therapy, and her balance issues had resolved. And now at 3.5, she's literally rock climbing. I didn't know they made gear for little bitty tykes, but her mom and dad go rock climbing, and so they got her own gear, and she didn't go like way high up or anything. I would say probably 20 feet max, but it's to me it's pretty impressive for a 3.5-year-old, and God has just done tons of things. So I don't know what is going to go on in her life from now on, but right now she is just living her best life and doing phenomenally well. But anyway, let me get back to Amber. Actually supposed to be born on Halloween Day, and then she says she was in the NICU for 2 weeks because her lungs were giving tiny fits. But too bad, just a little bit of help. And she's like, rock climbing, that's awesome and cute. Yeah. Yeah. It's just, I couldn't believe it. And she competed in her first rodeo because she had seen some on television and she had seen other kids do it. So I didn't know this, but they actually have competitions for little kids, and they ride their stick horses, and they set up barrels close together and a short distance in, and so they ride their stick horses around the barrels. They're so cute. Oh, good night, Peter. Thank you for coming in. Thank you. So, yeah, so she's just competed in her first little rodeo. The things that they have for little kids now. Like, I can guarantee my mother would not have taken me to a rodeo at any age, much less let me compete. So, yeah, I don't even know if they had things like that when my kids were little. Amber, you're young. You're about the same age as Stellar Piper. Do you remember ever hearing about rodeos? when you were young? I mean, I'm sure you heard about them when you were older, but when you were young, I'm saying. Back. And Amber, I'm doing another one too. Back. She's a strong little girl. She is. Okay, so you're a touch older, not too much though. I know a lot about rodeos, but just never been to one. Okay. But did you know about them when you were a little girl? Because like I didn't, and I'm not sure I heard about them that much when my kids were little. Not as far as like even. I'm really nearly 100% sure that I didn't know about them like having little kids things. But then we lived in Chattanooga at the time, so that's not like being out in the country. Okay, you watched him on TV when you were a kid. Got it. If you ever get the chance, you should go to one. Now, some of them take volunteers. So that might be an option. You could maybe volunteer, and that would get you kind of a behind the scenes look of the rodeo. And you would probably like that. But that way too, if you volunteer, you don't have to pay to get in. I went with a friend of mine, and the first time I went to one, and she did cowboy church because her husband was a cowboy, but he was also a preacher, and that was a really cool experience. But because I was volunteering with her, I didn't have to pay to get in any of the times that I went with her. But they also had other volunteers for other things, like to help take tickets and whatnot. So maybe something to check into. Because one thing that really struck me too, the first time it really hit me at the rodeo, everybody was so nice. It was just everybody was in a mood to have fun. Nobody was cutting in line. Everybody was just it was like they were on their best behavior. It was just a lot of fun because of that. Let's see. Oh wow, 55. I would never have guessed that. Woo! There is a rodeo just 26 from me they have in the summer. Maybe you could contact them way ahead of time and see if they have anything that you could do volunteering. Because it's really cool because, or I thought it was really cool anyway, because you actually get to meet like some of the bull riders and stuff, just some of the cowboys and the cowgirls. And that just, for me, that kind of experience just, it adds because you get their perspective and stuff. And I really liked it. Of course, now, we live 3 hours away from her, so I don't get to go, but I really liked it. And her husband was also had been trained as an EMT, so he got to help that way too. Fortunately, nobody needed it for anything but your regular scrapes and bumps that you get from the rodeo if you're riding. So I was really glad for that because you don't want them to have to send in the clowns. So just their just the regular routine for the clowns is enough. Okay. That I will do just to be able to watch it. You should. You should. I think you'd have a great time. I really do. Um, and like I said, you just get a different view, kind of a different experience. And that's why I like mission trips too, because you get that different view. Because then you get to talk to people who live in that certain spot wherever you're volunteering with the mission trip. And so it it's not like you're seeing just touristy stuff. You're getting like the real look, you know. And I really like that. I would like sometime though to be able to go to Alaska without being under the gun and just be able to go and enjoy the trip. I mean, I like driving to Alaska, but I can't really enjoy it because I have to be at a certain place at a certain time to meet the team at the airport or at the mission site. So when you're doing that, it really takes some of the fun out of it because it puts a lot of pressure. But I still do it every chance I get. It's part of my crazy life. I think I may have to figure out how to get to Hawaii next, though. I don't know that I want to drive across Canada right now. I don't know when all this stuff's going to be straightened out. So, another good reason to go to Hawaii, I guess. That's going to be one expensive trip, though. I'll have to really put some thought and some research into it to try to figure out how to do it on the cheap because I can't afford to do it expensive. I do remember hearing a couple of years back, though, that they had a typhoon and one of the camps was needing volunteers. Maybe I should check into that to see if they still have mission trip opportunities. May have to do that. Let's see. I am a country girl, lol. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. I wanted to go with you that one year to Alaska, but you'd already found someone to go with you. Yeah, I've had a bunch of people volunteer. The big thing about going to Alaska is the past two times that I have been, there's been so much smoke in the air from wildfires that it was really hard to breathe. And like at one point, like I went up by myself this last time because my husband was coming back with me. So he had to fly up where I drove and then he came back in the car. But the smoke from the wildfires was so tough that Pepsi just continually alerted to let me know, hey, Mom, something's going on here and I can't fix it. And I was wheezing some, but not really bad. But he reacts to that. I mean, he responds to that. So I literally, according to the Google timeline, because you can, if you have Google, if you have an Android and you have Google and you have Google Maps, chances are you have something called Google Timeline already set. And I was able to look somewhere either in Alaska or coming back with my husband. And I had literally driven 24 hours. And I would do that again because the smoke was so rough. I mean, you don't want to just be enveloped in smoke in your vehicle, So I would say that has been the toughest part about going to Alaska. Really, the last 2 times. I got really lucky in 2019 when I went and the friend was going with me. It wasn't too bad, but she got pretty scared, I think, because we had just had some forest fires in Gatlinburg, and there had been like this super major fire. So we had just had that happen in November, and then here it is like June or July, and we're in Canada, and it's nighttime. We hadn't gone up far enough north where we had like almost 24 hours of sunshine. So we were in Canada, and she looks out the window, and she got really quiet. And she was quiet for several minutes, and she's like, Gayle, is that a forest fire? And I looked and I was like, yes, it is. So I was like, our plan will be the next overlook, the next rest area that we get to, we're going to stop and see if we can figure out which direction the fire is going and which way we need to go to be safe. And that was another God moment, I got to say. I didn't know the smoke was so bad. Now, when you friend me again on Facebook, I will post a photo. There was literally times I could not see the road sign until I was like within yards of the road sign. The smoke was that bad. So it was tough the last 2 times. And they had what they call hot shots or smoke jumpers, whichever one you want to call them. And they actually, you could see the helicopters bringing them in and the water planes that were scooping water out of the rivers and so forth and flying to dump it on the fire to try to put it out. So yeah, it was really bad. And then the last year I drove up, I think it was this last year, maybe the time before last, but see, let me stop and think. No, it was this last time when I drove up to Alaska. Fire was literally on both sides of the road. So that got a little interesting. And the Canadian Mounties were just waving us on through. And I was like, I'm following the pilot truck. Which, of course, he never heard me, but that's okay. But that got interesting. And not in a good way. So, yeah, that's probably the most difficult thing. The wildlife didn't bother me because I was like all about that. That was really pretty cool. So I enjoyed seeing the wildlife. No problems there. But the fires rather, and especially, when it was on both sides of the road, that got a little interesting. And I don't remember exactly like what day I drove for 24 hours. I'd have to go back and look, but my bet would be that that was probably the day. And then coming back, they had more of a handle on the situation. So I didn't have nearly the problems coming back, which was good because my husband was with me and I didn't want to have a lot of trouble when he was with me. So, yeah, I think it would mess up anybody's asthma. I got really, oh my gosh, my doctor is freaking wonderful. So whenever I go on the drive up there like that, she's always like, okay, let's go ahead and I'm just going to write you for the steroid prescription. You can just go ahead and get that filled, and here's a refill on your inhaler, and here's a refill on your epinephrine. So if I get in real bad trouble, I can do that. Plus, I'm allergic to like onions and bees and things like that. So, um, yeah, I sometimes need epinephrine for that. But she's just really great like that. So if she hadn't done that, I would have been like in major trouble. And I have a nebulizer for the breathing treatments, and on that, um, it's a small travel nebulizer, and it operates on batteries, so or electricity, but I can charge it up in the when I had the van, which I don't have now, and I miss it. So we're trying to save up so I can get another one, but they're so expensive. That's going to be a while. So, but fortunately, we have the RV, so which that's so much cheaper than hotels. So, and of course, I have it mostly. I mean, I like it for vacations and stuff, but I wind up going to the doctors so much and being 3 hours away. It's nice to have the RV where we can park it like at Cracker Barrel and so forth. Because even with the increased gas mileage from pulling the RV, it is still cheaper than hotels. So don't want to do that. So it's definitely paid for itself. So plus, it is more comfortable for the two of us. So when we go see Grand Kiddo, we can make sure we take it. Let's see. I want to visit an Airbnb. Is there a specific Airbnb or you just want to visit one? Because that might be fun sometime to go to one. I've read about them, and some of them seem to have some pretty neat stuff. I understand they can be pretty expensive though. And I'm not into expensive. Speaking of which, now that we've gotten recovered a little bit more from the hurricane, I'm going to start probably after the 1 year observances. I'm going to start the $40 day trips back. Might do one or two in between, but I think probably mid-October is when I'm going to try to start those back. Because they're day trips, so even without the van, I can do those. So, because now the van spoiled me, and like now I'm so used to going places, usually on the cheap, because like mission trips, you have lots of help with people helping you raise money, so you can, get there because you're taking their stuff. And school supplies and warm clothes and things like that. And Valerie Reese set us up with a bunch of socks. So, let's see. She wants to go for the experience. The one that she wants to go to used to be a gas station years ago. That sounds cool. You'll have to fill me in if you ever go. And Grandma Lynn is still here. Thank you. I really appreciate it. I know you know how important it is, and I really appreciate it. It's just a very big deal, and I thank you. What? Hang on a second. What is it? Come here. You want to be on YouTube? You want to come up here? Oh. All right, y'all. I'm going to have to take him out in a minute. Okay, just wait. Oh, gosh, it's almost 1 a.m. No wonder he's asking me. Usually he goes to my husband. I don't know why, but he just does. So that's probably why he's coming to me. My husband's probably asleep. Ooh, Bonnie and Clyde used to go to that gas station back in the heyday. It's that old. Wow. Can't even imagine. Okay, wait just a minute. All right, you all. I think I'm gonna have to scoot because he's gonna keep bothering me, and that's okay. That's okay. Let me just get this one little thing done. All right. So there's the other one, Amber. Your Honor. For your honor. There you go. And some lucky person will get this. I've just got to, put the string at the top, which I'll do after a while. So hold on. All right, you all take care. Amber, thanks for hanging out. Grandma Lynn, thank you so much. Both of you all for hanging out. And I'm going to talk to you. I'll talk to you later. I'll be back on Sunday night, if not before. It's been great seeing you, Amber, and talking to you. All right, y'all take care. Be bodacious. Don't let life get in the way of living, okay? Good night. I'm coming.